we have a whole generation of kids that not only doesn't know how to learn, but they also don't know how to fail. They don't know how to accept failure. And I guess that probably leads to the safe space culture,
Yes.
where when confronted with any sort of discomfort, they retreat into themselves, and then they want legislation to protect them from feeling discomfort. It's not even that we don't even fail kids anymore. We punish teachers, particularly here in Alberta, who actually fail kids despite the policies at the schools who prevent teachers from failing kids and teaching them that there's a sort of level that they need to achieve at. We had a teacher, probably 8 or 10 years ago, that he was suspended because he failed kids. So, I mean, God help the future economy of Canada and North America, while, Chinese kids are being taught standards and ours are being taught to just, cry and you'll pass your test.
I remember that story. I think it was a teacher from Edmonton, and it was absolutely shocking. And yet, so the standards are lowered, the grades are suffering, the kids aren't doing as well as before, and yet, as I understand it, Sheila, these Alberta teachers, they still want a raise, right?
Yeah, they want to raise something that would never happen in the private sector. If there's a metric by which you measure your success, if you're a teacher, it would be teaching results, right? Like that seems to make the most amount of sense. If your students are achieving where they need to be achieving, that's sort of your bar for success. But in the private sector, if you were failing by every metric you were measured at, you certainly wouldn't get a raise. You probably would be getting written up. You might even get fired, but that doesn't happen in the public sector. You just get a raise just because you showed up for work that day.
Oh yeah, no, they are untouchable for sure. But Sheila, in the bigger picture, when you have the Alberta Teachers Association, this public sector union going to the government, the Notley's NDP, and saying we want these regulations in place to teach journalists how to report things according to our narrative, I'm reminded of the Latin phrase that translates into English as "who watches the watchers." And what I'm saying is, how can anyone have confidence in groups like, the Rachel Notley NDP or the Alberta Teachers Association to be doing the right thing?
Well, let's go one step further. How can anybody have any confidence in the media when I'm the only one reporting on this? It's our job to hold the government to account as journalists, and by extension, the teachers who work for the government. And no one is reporting on this. And there were actual reporters sitting at this meeting who heard this. That's how I got wind of it. But there are no stories saying how outrageous this is, that the teachers union is trying to do a preemptive strike and cover their behinds before these bad test results are revealed. Nobody's even talking about it. So let's just skip right past confidence in the government. How can we be confident in the information we're getting about these sorts of cover-ups?
Hey, that was an excerpt from my show, Rebel Roundup, where we discuss the week's top stories with your favorite rebels. To see my show and more, sign up to become a premium member today.